So as we went through this, these little trigger items, we talked about how is production going. We talked about are we on track? And the superintendent communicated that to the team. Is work planned for tomorrow or next week? Do we still have enough buffers? Where are we in relation to the end date? Do we still have the right percentages of flow? What preparation steps do we need to have for quality? We talked about that. What roadblocks need to be removed or absorbed? Russell talked about that. Not that he's my favorite. That's not what I'm saying. He talked about existing roadblocks and also made the awesome comment, which I'll give one more round of applause for, is that we should be looking out ahead at roadblocks. Is work being made ready? So if you are making work ready out ahead in the future visually, you will find those roadblocks, right? Are separate phases on track to support each other? You can ask the question, how will this shaft prep and the elevator cabs tie into the work over here that we're doing in the floor? How are the stairs going to interact with the work up here at top? You can see how these networks, these phases tie together. And then you ask the question, is the schedule complete? Is work pushing into problematic weather times? We talked about that. Are current production rates and cycle times projecting correctly? And that was this comment of, look, when you get into one zone, you should be able to foresee how the rest of them do in their future zones. So imagine a trailer where you have a superintendent or a PM or an assistant super that has markers, plexiglass, and updated drawings. And they're going through and they're interacting with the team visually. Or you're on your TV screen and you pull up your Takt plan, and then you pull up your procurement log on your TV screen, or then you pull up your sequence maps on your TV screen. I don't care if you do it on your TV screen or you do it up here on the wall. Imagine the conversations that you can have when it's visual and you're working in this direction. Let me ask you a question, and I want two answers. If your owner came in to the trailer and saw this kind of planning, what could be a consequence?
If we don't have him educated, he might be confused with what he's looking at.
That could be. So he could be like, what is all this stuff? Why didn't you tell me in the OAC? What about some good consequences?
The certain comfort level he gets from seeing that we're on top of it.
Exactly. How many times do we tell an owner, hey, there's a roadblock, it's slowing us down, and he can't see it, he's not in the field, he doesn't experience it? But if you actually showed a visual map, hey, this right here is holding us up, it's not a problem over here because we can just access this through the stairs and get to it, hey, not a big deal. Or if you're like, no, Mr. Owner, like the only way to access this is through the corridors up here and through this area, and so if we don't have this room done, then it affects the hallway, all these corridors, and we're going to be tromping through here and creating a mess. This is why it's such a critical thing for us. You can visually show your owner what's going on at any time. So
hey, Jason,
go ahead.
Wouldn't it also help owners, because majority of owners don't know anything about construction, so seeing something visual can help them understand?
Yes. What I'm saying is most of the time when we say something to somebody, it's like this nebulous, far off, unrealistic, contractors lying to me again type thing, unless they know that we're in the details. And quite frankly, if we're not doing this kind of planning in the details like this visually, then we're not in the details. I hope nobody's mad at me for saying that, but like if we're not doing this, we're not in the details. Because even if we're just pretending, how many conversations were Russell and Mike able to have just because we were looking at it visually? So I'll close this conversation out by saying the strategic planning and procurement meeting, whether it's 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, don't care. You get in there and you make sure that that Takt plan is tracking well, projecting well, buffering well, and on track on my end date. Because we lose, and I want you to know this, it doesn't matter sometimes with a cost plus job, but in my mind it still matters because we have to be good stewards of the owner's money. We lose a crap ton of money with bad estimates. I'm not just saying at Green Street, in the industry. Estimates, rework, loss of production, schedule slip is what I would call it, right? Those are the main four. If you all want to add one, that's fine. But let me ask you a question. So everybody get ready to unmute. Does a Takt plan help you to improve your estimates, yes or no?
Yes.
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 Does a Takt plan help you to reduce rework, yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Because specifically, we're planning work if we're using it the right way. Does a Takt plan help you prevent loss of production, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, because you'll see this problem, you're like, wait a minute. Like Russell or Mike or Russell said, one of them said, hey, we need to dig into contractor number 2 and find out. Now the team is alerted to what we need to go focus on. Okay. Does the Takt plan help you to prevent schedule slip, yes or no?
Yes.
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 So if you go through your meeting, and I'll be done with this, you update your Takt plan, you make 100% sure that your procurement is aligned with your Takt plan. And then you look out the next 3 to 12 weeks and discuss major problems. And then you basically report out. Okay, this is what I want to do. I want to talk about how to use a procurement log because I don't think it's clear to everybody 100% that I talk to. And I'm not saying in Green Street, I'm saying in general. So if you want one of these logs or a Takt plan, what website do you go to? I'm going to type in a website right here. If I want to get a brand new Takt plan template, what do I type in my browser right now?
Elevate.
Nope. I want to get a brand new Takt template. I want to download it right away so I can get my procurement log filled out. What do I type in on the top?
We're just Takt plan.
Almost. That's half of it. What would you type in? Leantakt.com. Leantakt.com. And it's down here at the bottom, and you would click on this button. Automatically, you have a template in here ready to go that we constantly update for y'all because we love you with the big old heart symbol. It's a lot. And remember, everything's bigger and better in Texas. So it's a big heart I'm shooting. So this is the template. I open up. It says, here's the list of things that you need to do to create a Takt plan. These are your audit metrics. These are your Takt elements. On the next page, your Takt macro, your norm, your calculator, and then over here, you have your procurement tab. So I'm going to use this as an example. Let's say that in our strategic planning procurement meeting, we're going to use VAVs, and it's in tax zone. It's in TZ1, and it's going to be your mechanical contractor. And did I say March 17th? 17th of March, 2022. All right, so here we go. I want you all to help me fill this out to where I have accurate dates. So let's go ahead and do it. This is a test of the emergency procurement system. Tell me what I should enter into this row. This is a test.
Are you talking about the spec section? What are you talking about?
Nope, not the spec section. I want to, actually, that's a good question. I want you to tell me what I should enter in between here and here on that row. I told you that we need the mechanical, the VAVs, by 317, and I need this row filled out. So we'll go one by one. Actual date on site. Do you want me to put anything on there yet?
No.
Buffer days. What buffer days? What do you want me to put in there?
Give me 2 weeks to prep my submittals.
David, you said go sell by sell, and I'm on buffer days. Do you want to switch the process? What did you say,
said
David?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Wonderful. So I'm in delivery weeks. How many weeks for that?
6.
So it takes 6 weeks for them to go from the shop to here to the. I'm not making fun of anybody. It takes 6 weeks from the time they load the truck to where it gets
I
on the
didn't see you had
project.
lead time separately. Sorry.
Okay. No, you're fine. That's why we're going through this.
1 week.
1 week. Okay, perfect. Okay, now this is an automatically filled out cell. So lead time in weeks. What do you want me to fill in?
We're 5 there.
Okay, 5. Wonderful. I'm in the design team approval weeks. What do you want me to fill in there?
Better
Okay.
put in 2 or 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks. What you said 2, 3, or 4. Somebody pick one. What's your final answer?
3. Go 3. You're right in the middle.
3, right there. Okay, perfect. All right, that's an auto-populated date. Submittal review in weeks. How many weeks?
4.
It takes 4 weeks for us to internally review the submittal.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, submittal prep. How long does it take the contractor to prep the submittal?
I'd say a week. Usually they know where they're at, what they're going to use.
A week? Okay, perfect. Okay, so even if you don't have all materials on here, this is how you use the log, and you all did a great job. So let me give you a round of applause real quick. This is important for me. Okay. You need to fill out your procurement items, what zone it's in, who's doing it, and then you don't start here. You start for when you need it per your Takt plan. And then, so the buffer days, who can explain to me what this buffer column represents?
It stays if there's any longer lead times or shipments get delayed or manufacturing has problems, right?
Yes. So if everything goes right, you'll have materials that are 2 weeks before you need it. So you have a 2-week buffer. So what I would prefer in our industry is to keep our normal lead times the same here. And if it goes from 5 to 10 weeks because of COVID-19, then this goes from 2 to maybe 7, or it goes to 5. I want us to not make extended lead times the norm, meaning it should be a 5-week lead time. That's normal. And so any addition to that would just go right into your buffer time. Great job. So delivery in weeks, what does this column mean? This might sound tedious, but everyone needs to know this. So what does this delivery time mean? Explain it to me.
How long it actually takes to ship to get to you.
Hell yeah. Lead time in weeks, what does this represent?
It's how long it takes to actually manufacture or produce whatever the product is.
Absolutely. Somebody new. What does the design team approval represent?
Architect, engineering.
Absolutely. What is this? What is the submittal review in weeks?
That's our review.
Our review. So what is the submittal prep?
Great partner.
That's putting it all together and reviewing it, making
Yep.
sure it's complete.
And this one's probably a bit longer. I would say that's at least 4 weeks right there. And if you have a problem with a submittal, you need to work as a team to get that that one down on our end. So what this does is it auto calculates backwards. This is nothing fancy and crazy. But the point is, for us to be in the green, this would have to be something like 6, you know what I mean? Or actually, for us to do this procurement right, it would have to be like 7. But for us to actually get it out here on, what did I say, 3/17/22, these things had better have been done quite a ways back, right? If it was 5/17/22, you would see that you really only need to be up to the point where you're in the design team review. So if you came into your strategic planning and procurement meeting and all of these dates over here were accurate, you could just immediately go to your log and just focus on the reds. If something's getting to a red point, then you know you're in trouble and your procurement's going to delay. This is a really, really great log. But like I said, if it was 3/17/22, we would have had to release this contractor all the way at 11/18/21. That procurement would have had to have been released way back in November somewhere. So that's why procurement is one of the freakiest things for me. We design this Takt plan early on in pre-construction. We create that procurement log super, super fast because we need to know when these drop dead release dates. It can't just be, what happens if we drop all the submittals on the design team and the owner all at once? And we're like, yeah, I don't want to track the dates. I'm just going to give them to you all at once. What happens when we do that?
You don't get them back in.
Why? You're right about that. Why?
You're overloading them.
You're overloading them. You're
You
putting
may
them.
not get the ones you need first.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, they don't know what's important.
You may not get, I don't know who said it, you may not get the ones you want back in time. You may not get what's important, and you're overloading them. Literally what you're doing is, when you should be leveling out their workload for the designer, you're like, F you guys, I'm just throwing it all on your desk, and now I'm going to point the finger at you. How is this responsible? How is this good customer service? This isn't good customer service. I don't understand how anybody in our industry can call themselves a project manager, a super, or a general contractor, and I'm not making fun of Green Street. I don't know if you do it or not yet or not, but I don't know how anybody can call themselves a general contractor if they do this shit to the designers. Like, you can't do this. We have to level things out and have a procurement log. Even if somebody's like, I'm just going to send them all over. No, that's not how we run construction. We do things when we need them, and the only way we know when we need them is to have a procurement log. So going back over here to the Green Street pre-construction board, we've mapped out with Brian and David and the team and Jimmy what key items have to happen early on in pre-construction. And so early on in schematic design, we have a macro Takt plan, and one of the main reasons that we have that macro Takt plan is that so we can get that buyout and procurement log, these things up and running and going as fast as we possibly can, so that we can get any of those long lead materials ordered and do it in a systematic manner instead of just pushing it with a shotgun approach. So any questions or thoughts there?
I've gone from liking that procurement log to loving how that works now that I understand how it feels.
Yeah.
That's great information.
Thank you. Lauren, it's not different from how you did it back in the day. It's just aligned with Takt now, right? I mean, this is construction 101, right, Lauren?
I mean, it is, but you start at the date we need it installed or need it on site. Going through those steps takes us back to when we have to have our submittal complete. I mean, it's just really good information.
Really good information. I love that.
Hey, Jason, can you go back to the procurement log for just a second? I've got a question on it.
Yes, sir.
Let's say along the way that you are making these adjustments, let's say your submittal prep takes 5 instead of 4. I'm saying, how do you adjust it with this procurement log? The activity of adjusting it is what I'm saying.
I've got an answer, but I'd like to see anybody else want to answer first.
Use the buffer.
Use the buffer.
I like that. So if you had a sequence here that was too short, let's go ahead and have a conversation here real quick. Let's just demonstrate what Jimmy's talking about. Okay.
What if you called your trades through and see if you could speed up their process on theirs and cut their time down as well?
Okay, so how can we expedite submittals? So I just put that in there. Whoever said that, that's brilliant. The other thing we could do in reference to the submittal prep time is you could make it easier on them, meaning if you have multiple jobs that they're doing for you and they're getting behind because they're batching work, you can call and make sure they know what's the right priority, or you can sketch them out a drawing, or you can invite them to the project site and do an hour page flip to help them out, right? Any other ideas for how to expedite submittal prep? What about submittal review? What could you do to shorten the submittal review time? Anybody?
Well, depending on what it is, you can move it up in your queue.
Okay, you can move it up. What else?
We use the work all night approach sometimes.
Okay, so I'm going to call that swarming. So that means you can be like, hey, let's say you're on Rancho Cordova, Ron, Aaron, and Miller. Hey, we need to hop in here, and I'm just going to carve out 2 hours, and we're going to get through this, and we're going to do a page flip together. So that's called swarming. You can ask for help. Yep, ask for help. Absolutely. So Jimmy, I hope this is in line. We'll get to the actual how do we do it on this Excel sheet in just a minute, but how would we expedite the design team approval? Beg, okay.
You let them know when the large submittals are coming so they can plan ahead.
Show them visually why it's important. I would say don't shotgun them, because if you tell them everything's important, they're going to be like, BS. You guys always say that stupid shit. You know what I mean? So the other thing is we can let them know ahead of time is something I forgot to write down. Let them know ahead of time so they can anticipate it. What'd you say, David?
Include them on the schedule review at least once a month.
Yeah, include them on the schedule review. Absolutely.
Hey, Jason, when we get to that point, we're probably going to have this document fill out, right? Is that something that we can share with the architect to make sure they keep, a log of what to expect?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Share this with the architect, and they may come back and say, that's your review, I don't need to review it, or, hey, you missed one. I mean, getting the submittal review confirmed with the architects is great.
Yeah, I think that's a real good idea with the design team, because they're going to be included in all this anyway, but it helps them plan out their future days and work days.
Exactly. The other thing I would say is that you can schedule a meeting or a review meeting with them. Hey, I'm really having a hard time. We'll do it virtually. We'll come to your office, whatever. We'll flip the plan, and we'll have the trade partner there with you, or whatever. I'm just making it up. And this is a super critical submittal. This won't happen very often. We can do all the legwork, and you just sit there. You just be there, ready to go, and we'll get it done within an hour.
I'd hide the buffer column though.
Sure. So is there anything you could do to improve the lead time? Possibly. Maybe there's expedition.
Yeah, expedited production.
Yep.
They may have a production site they can farm it out to.
Move it to a second production site.
We have taken shipping out of the hands of the manufacturer and hot-shotted products before.
Yep. Okay. So that goes over here to the delivery, take over shipment. Okay. I love that. And then I think somebody said use some of the buffer, right? So this is just quick, high level things that you can do in here to expedite the supply chain. I really believe that this is most of the battle won. And what are project managers doing if they're not doing this? And that sounds insulting. I don't mean it that way. What I mean is like owner billing, great. Subcontractor billing, great. Writing RFIs, answering emails. Just so you all know, and I'm not criticizing anybody on the phone. I'm just saying that 100% before God, angels, and these witnesses, emails waste most of your time. Most of the time in the industry, what project managers are is they're professional email writers and answerers. And so you write an email, then the owner, and then that takes 15 minutes for that person. And then they respond. And now it takes 15 minutes for you to answer. And then you respond. That's another 5, 10, 15. Every time that email goes back and forth, you've just pissed away 5 to 15 minutes. So I want to ask people to stop doing, and I love emails. Like, it's therapeutic. I'm like, I feel like I'm doing something even though I'm not. I want us to do less of this and more of actual real management, phone calls, in-person meetings, managing the project. Emails, I know we all love them. I'm telling you, there is no bigger time waster of your daily productivity than emails. And I love emails, but they're still the biggest time waster. So if you in your strategic planning and procurement meetings, positive shout out, update the Takt plan. Use that Takt plan like a military general in a war. And then you say, all right, this is where my troops need to be. Do my supply lines. Do I have ammunition and gas and everything to the front lines when I need to be there? This is just like you being a general in war. When you hear about Ukraine and Russia, which is a very sad thing that's happening, you hear a lot about supply chains. You hear a lot about the gasoline and ammunition and tanks and planes and things like that. How are you going to help Ukraine? Well, we need to get them materials and supplies. So this is like you're a military general saying, when are we going to do something? And do we have the logistics to support it? And like Russell said, are we clearing roadblocks out ahead? So we're getting close. It's 9:42. I want to know, does anybody have any final follow-up questions about this system and this meeting? meeting. Jimmy, do you think this was worthwhile, putting you on the spot?
It's going to drive some people crazy, Jason. I'm fine with that, but I've always enjoyed role playing because I think it plays out to our advantage. But the key to all of this is we have not been doing this, and it has not yielded great results. So I personally, I like going through this. I like to see how you would have responded to certain scenarios. Is it hard to play it out like it would be in everyday life? Maybe, maybe not. I really enjoyed this. I think there's a lot of things that we need to be doing. One of the things that I love about what you said, and I want to make sure that it's very, very clear and it's a critical point, we have got to get back to a point of managing projects and not answering everything by fire.
Exactly.
We've got to be proactive, not reactive.
Yep. There are leaders, and you've probably heard me say this, and we're almost done with the meeting, by the way, so nobody freak out. There are leaders, managers, accountants, and victims. This is something that I thought of when I go around the country. I see this. Leaders will direct the job and shape conditions to be what they want. Managers will respond and correct the job. Accountants will tell you where the job is, and victims will complain that the job is controlling them. That's just how it is. Like, I don't know how to say it in any better terms than that. So, by the way, the top three, I can work with any of the top three. I'd rather have a leader that's like, okay, this is how we can move money into that budget. This is how we can gain on that schedule. Let's go ahead and do this with the procurement. Let's have a conversation with the supply chain, blah, blah. But managers, at least managers, and I'm not dissing, like if your title is project manager, that's not what I'm saying. It's fine to be a project manager. I'm just saying a manager will at least manage the system and say, hey, I'm going to respond and correct the job and get it back on track. These two things on top are great. Love it. This is great. Let's put this in green. The accountants, at least accountants will tell you where the job is, but victims don't know where the job is and they don't know how to fix it. So I'm asking us, like Jimmy said, to go from, if we have any behaviors that are down here, and let's switch them up here. And I still don't understand, and I never have. I don't understand how, and I would love somebody to correct me, because if there's a better way, I'd love it. But I don't understand how somebody can lead a job without a schedule, a sequence and logistics map, and a procurement log. I just don't understand it. I'm not smart enough to get that. So here's our assignment for this week. This is when things start to get, this has always been a part of our program, and this is where we are. We've done preliminary learning. You know the need for respect for people and for stability. You've been through boot camp, or some of you have. The rest of you get ready, and you have learned the basics of Takt planning. Now it's time to get this process started. So here is the assignment. So I'll put this number 1 on every week's assignment as we go. But if you can make and manage your Takt plan. Who was it? Toby said you've got 1 or 2 jobs that were too late in the queue and you're not doing them. I'm not talking about those jobs, right, Toby? Like, if those are non-Takt jobs, got it. But if you're on a job that has a Takt plan, starting with a Takt plan, or can have a Takt plan, I want you to have a Takt plan. Okay, number 2, the assignment is, I want you to decide on when and how you are going to host this meeting. Somebody answer me, please. Do I want you to run this meeting exactly like I would? Yes or no?
Oh, every job's different.
Correct.
You gotta do the job.
How do I want you to run this meeting?
Effectively.
Yes.
With direction and intent. Don't let it get off in the weeds.
Yes, effectively, so that
I guess the trade partners to buy into it, convince them to be a part of this.
Correct. I want you to have it when and how you can do it effectively so that it meets the intent. I don't know who said that, but whoever said so that it meets the intent, that's exactly what I was looking for.
Know your audience.
Know your audience, absolutely. So what I'm saying is, if you're a project manager that's always remote, you're probably not going to drive to the job site. You're probably going to do this on a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting. If it's a small job, it's not going to be an hour. It might be 15 minutes. If you don't have a Takt plan, should you give up? No. Get whatever schedule you have in the meeting and use it. If you don't have sequence drawings or logistics map, make them. Or hell, just bring up any floor plan of the project. But the point is to get started. So if somebody says, well, I can't do it exactly like Jason, I don't have my trailer set up. No. I'm asking you to start doing these meetings effectively so that it meets the intent the right way, tailored to your circumstances. Okay. I want want you, please, to set up your conference room and share a picture.
Does that just kind of get it done, Jason? Like me, I'm still waiting on some of my signage. It's coming, but I don't have it yet. If I don't have it by next week, do we just do it as soon as...
We'll have it this week.
I would say set up what signs you have and let's get going and share a picture, and I'll provide a review for you. I'm just saying it's time to go, humans. Like, Jimmy's on my ass. Like, we got to get going. So I think that do whatever you can and let's roll. So
guys, you can also take a picture, make it a PDF, and on Bluebeam you can draw in what's coming if you don't have it.
Absolutely.
But the point is let's make it visual of where we're headed. Some projects are going to be behind this. It's fine, but there are several projects that we've got that we are implementing or starting with this process.
Absolutely. I'm going to put your names over here to the right. So let's just put this up here. So I'm going to put Justin. What you can do is just write down the project, and then underneath it, this is where we're going to start keeping the pictures as a part of this effort and this training. And so this will be your trailer, and then I also want to know your meeting details. You just write it down there. And if you have a Takt plan, you'll go ahead and show me a picture of your Takt plan for your project right here. Is that too much work for us to assign in a week for us to get going on this?
No.
Hell no.
Okay.
Hell no.
All right. I do want to signpost because Jimmy's been coaching me about that I need to do better. So give me just 1 second. Oh, all right. There was one I forgot. Sorry. Set up your conference room and set up your procurement log with at least your top 5 most critical items. And so over here to the right, you will see your procurement log, a picture of your procurement log.
So are we asking project managers to take charge on procurement log?
Yeah, and so if you're a PM and you have a super, and that's a super on your job, you can put your picture in their little slot here as well.
So on that also, Jason, the new tax schedule, we're working with Kevin in estimating. We are identifying as many long lead items as we can think of with projected lead times. So that should show up on your new schedules. I know those are on yours, Justin.
That's amazing. So going through what we covered today, some of you had designed your trailer, which I appreciate, so you fulfilled the assignment. Next time, if you all don't understand the assignment, please just reach out to me. But Team 3 and 4, great job. Then we use that to create our own standard trailer that can be modified, but I'm going to take you through every meeting. So today we just went through this, and I'm sorry that it takes so long. Like, I know everybody's like, I want to know everything all at once, but I'm fine to stay on another 2 hours if you want to keep going, but I think we need to implement as we go. So we covered this today. The next meeting, we're going to do the Trade Partner Weekly Tactical and the Foreman Huddle, and you'll implement that. So that's next week, and we're going to implement that after next week. And then we'll do the Worker Huddle and the Team Daily Huddle. This is how you implement Takt on the job. And what I showed you today is that here is the widened agenda, the bigger one. Here is where we role played on how we would use it. Here is the suggestion on how everyone would sit. Here is the condensed agenda. And here is where we reviewed how to update the procurement log. So I hope you have everything that you need in there for this meeting.